Tonight on the Black Channel, they thought they were ready. They thought wrong. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, man, they thought it was going to be business as usual, and they found out the hard way that we are about that life. And let me be clear about my next comments here. We did this because we wanted to show it's a new day, but we also wanted to show that it will not be business as usual. And the reason we wanted to show that is because over the last couple of years, what has happened is that the only quote-unquote agitators that they've had out there, the only folks they've had out there are individuals who are at best misguided and at worst are plants and puppets of the very establishment that we are trying to stop. This is a movement that they don't control. There's a reason they don't like this. There's a reason why the corporate media tried to act like, oh, well, don't worry, everything's going to be business as usual. But as you've seen from yesterday, it was far from that. It was far from being business as usual. What they would have you believe is that the only people out there who know or who care to show up at these events, who care to show up and be heard, the only folk who actually exist out there are their tethers, their anchor babies, their paid for puppet shills. Those are the only ones who are actually out there. They found out yesterday, that ain't true. They found out that that's not true. So something strange happened at the fish fry. Why? They just thought it was going to be their usual little get together and everybody was going to sit there and have some dried out flounder and then dance a jig and that would be all. No. Some other folks came for something else. And let me tell you, just so you be aware, it was a little chilly. It was a little chilly in South Carolina. When I got up this morning, it was a little chilly. Temperature had dipped down. But I'm still in that neck of the woods. I'm still in the neighborhood. Just in case anybody was wondering here. And at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to probably see if I can get Marcel on the line for us here. So I've been in touch with him today. I'm going to see if we can try to get him on the line. And the reason for this is because I want people to understand now that we're not just sitting on the internet. We never have. We are the only people who have never actually just been stuck online with something. And you got to understand these other folks out there, your corporate media apparatus, your Democrat Party, your Republican Party, they want the world to believe that the only people speaking are the ones they say are speaking. They want the world to believe that. That's what they want to believe. Yeah, in the chat room, folks are saying, damn, yeah, it is chilly today. Yeah, I should know I'm there. By the way, I should know I'm there. In any case, yeah, they want you to believe that that's the only place that's happening. Now, for those of you who might just be joining us here, there's a video. You can see it on our Twitter page there. Old Jimbo Jangles Clyburn. Man, oh man, I'm telling you, he was telling himself everything was going to be all right, and then he messed around and looked up, and what do you know? There's a black Chevy Tahoe in your future. We were on the ground. Notice he didn't really advertise this year's fish fry. He didn't really want a bunch of folks showing up this year. Now, isn't that interesting? Usually he'd be heavy. It would be on his website and everything else. He didn't do very much work to advertise it. This year, yeah, because he knew this year was going to be markedly different than years past. So he was like, can we just get by with doing nothing here? Oh, no, it's going to be markedly different. He knew this year's fish fry wasn't going to go the way the previous ones have gone. No, you won't fly under the radar. No, you won't be dismissed. You won't be dismissed. Is that a Tahoe on 22s? You will not be dismissed. It won't be ignored like it has been. And your white handlers may be showing up, but he got a little drink in him. You see the little cup there. He got a little drink in him and got him loosened up a little bit. It got him loosened up a little bit. And man, oh man, when he did, it was off to the races. Ain't that right, Jimbo? It was off to the races for him. Jim didn't know what to do. He was sitting there saying, boy, why is it they're out there messing with me? And I'm cleaning it up for him there. I'm cleaning it up for him. It was a whole lot different before. Old Jim was telling everybody there he was keeping calm, cool, and collected, or at least that was the way it was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the picture of repose. He was supposed to be the picture of control. That's what they were telling everybody. Don't worry, that's the illusion that they would give you there is, oh, everything's all right. Everything's just fine. No problems around here. Wow, we're used to this kind of thing. This is what we do for a living. I'm very glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. Which means that you won't have a problem here if we ask a couple of questions. And we didn't just hold their feet to the fire. We did a lot more than that.
I appreciate the fish fry and everything. I did want to ask, though. Reparations is a big thing.
Look, reparations are big with me. I'm the only one doing the bill. Why y'all keep fucking with me on that? I'm the only one doing the bill. It's my bill.
Yeah, why y'all keep effing with me? Dude, according to you, we didn't exist before now. Why do y'all keep effing with me? Yeah, he's been feeling the heat for a long damn time. So for anybody and everybody who was telling you that, oh, this didn't exist, they don't hear it, they don't know about it. Oh, Jimbo Jangles been hearing it for a while, and it's taking its toll on him.
And everything. I did want to ask, though. Reparations is a big thing.
Look, reparations are big with me. I'm the only one doing the bill. Why y'all keep fucking with me on that? I'm the only one doing the bill. It's my bill.
Which bill?
The reparations bill.
HR 40?
HR 40.
Okay.
And I've been doing it
Okay.
for 20 years, 30 years. HR 40.
Okay.
And I've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years.
You see the white man back there looking as soon as he said HR 40?
And it's been around for 38. I've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years. And it's been around for 38. Reparations bill.
HR 40?
HR 40.
You see the white man, as soon as you say HR 40, the white man starts looking. He can already tell. Old Jimbo is sliding out of the frame. He can already tell it's not going well. Just notice that. He's already sliding out of the frame. And so take a look where the white man starts moving on in.
And I've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years. And it's been around for 38.
Oh, I'm telling you.
So why y'all keep telling me about a bill?
Yeah, that didn't take long now, did it? Did you notice that right there? Boy, I'm telling you, as soon as you said something about reparations, he heard Jimbo.
Reparations is a big thing.
Look, reparations are big with me. I'm the only one doing the bill. Why y'all keep fucking with me on that? I'm the only one doing the bill.
Yeah, the white man heard him say that. The white man heard him say that. As soon as he said that, he starts moving.
HR 40.
Why y'all effing with me? The white man starts moving. He hears HR 40 reparations. Oh, the white man is in there. Y'all know the meme about the cat? You all have seen the meme for years about the cat. What y'all doing in there? What are y'all doing over there? As soon as black folk get together and start talking about, what y'all doing over there now? You saw the white man started creeping his way on in. As soon as he heard all that, okay, it's about to be a commotion. Let me get close and make sure Jimbo don't say something he shouldn't say. He's already getting flustered. He might mess around and make a specific promise like he does to the LGBT feminists and the rest of them. He might mess around and say something we don't want him to say. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and remind him I'm sitting right next to you. Let me go ahead and remind him I'm sitting right here. So just in case you need a little reminder of who runs this thing. Just in case you forgot or you need a little bit of a reminder, we're going to let you know who's running this thing for you here, just in case you forgot. Yeah, let me go ahead and get in position. Yeah, just in case you figured there wasn't nothing happened yesterday, just in case you thought it was just going to be the old after church meeting, just in case you thought that was going to be the case. Oh no, people, listen. I've been telling you this for over a decade. They are well aware. They are well aware of who we are, what we do. They're terrified to death of it. You tell me. And that wasn't the only one, but you tell me, is this a man who sounds like he's totally in control and ain't worried?
Listen, but I gotta go, but I appreciate the fish fry and everything. I did want to ask, though. Reparations is a big thing.
Look, reparations are big with me. I'm the only one doing the bill. Why y'all keep fucking with me on that? I'm the only one doing the bill.
Now you tell me, does that sound like you're inconsequential? You tell me, does that sound like you don't matter? You tell me, does that sound like they're like everything is cool, calm, and collected? You tell me. In the middle of a campaign season. He can't hold it together. And we didn't have to have hundreds of people there. All we had to have was just enough people. That's the thing I've been telling you for years now. You don't have to have hundreds of people. You just need enough. We just needed enough people to show up. We just needed enough people to be there. That was all. Don't let anybody deceive you into thinking that these folks have a firm grasp on things. They are very worried because what they need is the illusion that all black folk are on board with whatever they say. Because you see, they can't tie us to any group. That's what kills them. They can't tie us to any group. They can't tie us to any group. They can't tie us to any movement. You can't tie us to the Republicans. You can hate it all you want to. You can't turn us into Republicans because you have to show where we're supporting Republicans. You can't turn us into that. You can't de-black us. We've been hitting you on that notion. You can't de-black us. You're not going to jump up and turn Jim Clyburn into pro-blackness. That ain't going to happen. So all the usual avenues they used to be able to turn to, you can't do that anymore. And oh yeah, of course, they were betting on one more thing that went belly up. They were betting that Jason Black wasn't going to show up. Oh, don't worry. He'll sit on the internet and he'll talk. But he's not actually going to show up and lead anything. He won't actually be able to do that. If he did, well, it wouldn't be very hard to see him. We're pretty sure. I mean, if he rolled up on you, there's no way in the world he could get within 10 feet of you and you wouldn't notice. There's just no way that could occur. Of course, we'd recognize him. We'd see him. We'd something. All these folks, these political operatives, law enforcement, everything else. There's no way in the hell that these people could get this close to you. There's no way. If they did, they would start acting a fool. They start jumping around and be this, that, and the other. There's no way in the world they could be running things like, no, there's no way that could happen. None whatsoever. Or at least that's what they used to believe. Now they feel a bit differently about it. And what they're seeing is that we didn't just show up here and there wasn't a bunch of folks sitting up here yelling invectives. We came on business, and the business was simple, to make sure that everybody understood that we are not going along with the program and that we do not think everything is all right. No, it is not. It is not okay. These people do not represent us. We're not fine with the way it's been. So now they're going to try to convince you that everything is all right. It isn't. So what comes next? What comes next here is all of you understanding that this is the kind of thing that needs to be seen way more often. Stacey Abrams is still floating around out there. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are still buzzing around out there. And the optics of these things don't help. Now, what I want to talk about is incompetent operative classes. I want to deal with that real quick. I want to deal with incompetent operative classes. Because there are folks out there and you know, they've been looking for a gig. They've been looking for a gig. They've been looking for something to happen. They've been looking for something to occur for them here. And they've been trying to figure out, well, you know, what can I get to happen for me? Is there something in it for me? Well, not too sure about that. But there are some folks out there, in case you didn't know, they're hoping that things come together for them. By the way, were any of you aware of this? By the way, did anybody know? Did anybody know? Were any of you aware that, that paragon of black femininity, Simone Sanders, fresh off of getting booted out of the White House assistant, press secretary to the vice president assistant job. Yeah, she must know something she isn't supposed to know. She must have let them folks know that she gonna write a book or be problematic. Or maybe it is that Joe Biden feels like he's in more trouble with black folk than he really wants to be in. So, Simone let him know, now look here, I can talk for you or I can talk against you all damn day. So, by the way, how many of you were aware, how many of you were aware that Simone Sanders now has a show on MSNBC? If you were aware, give me a thumbs up. And if you were not aware, if you didn't know that she actually has a show on MSNBC now, if you didn't know, give me a thumbs down and hit the like button on tonight's program. If you knew she had a show on MSNBC, give me a thumbs up emoji in the chat room. If you didn't know, give me a thumbs down and then hit the like button for me. But for those of you who are unaware, yeah, she's got a show now. And it's going so great that most of us had no idea what the hell was going on. It wasn't like there was any buildup. It wasn't like there was any anticipation. It wasn't like people were waiting with bated breath. It wasn't like people were saying, you know what, we really do wish Simone Sanders could get on TV and yell at folks for us. Okay. Anybody want to put any bets on how long this is going to last? Anyone want to wager on how long this is going to last? You got Simone Sanders. Why? Tarana Burke wasn't available? What, Tarana Burke's calendar was full? This was the best you could do? People, this is the best MSNBC can do, damn it. Joy Reid and Simone Sanders. This is it. This is what they have to offer. Joy Reid and Simone Sanders. A completely incompetent operative class. They don't speak for us. Hell, they don't speak to us. And you know somebody else who was mad as hell about that? Little bowling ball, rolling ball Martin. Bowling ball, rolling ball. Boy, I'm telling you. That didn't go so well for him. He was counting on that White House press secretary job somewhere, assistant press secretary job, something. Let me back in the door. Nobody did that for him. Nobody. Didn't allow that. Now I want to show you something else here. Since you have people who sit up here and try to act like, like they speak for us. Since you have people out here who try to act like they speak for us, I want to put this in its proper perspective for you, okay? Let me put this in its proper perspective, just in case anybody was wondering. When you go to Simone's Twitter page, going back almost a week, going back about a week now, okay? They want to talk about Roe v. Wade. She gets 17 likes. 70. Got her on MSNBC. Katie Tur was only able to get 10,000 views for her in all this time. This is the video we put up of Jimbo Jangles. We got almost 30,000 and it hasn't even been 24 hours. It's only been 20 hours. Yeah, Simone is just this relevant. Apparently, they must have set up their own page at MSNBC so that when they get ready to shut her down, they can shut her down from their side. She's only got, since May 3rd, a video of her herself has gotten 153 likes and only 4,000 views, and that is with the mega juggernaut like Comcast and MSNBC behind her. And all she can get is 4,000 views. Sitting there looking like Biz Marquis and Manny Fresh had a kid. No offense. "37 likes from her friends. Your friends aren't very popular. I'm talking to the First Lady, Jill Biden. Yeah, there was such a great thing there that 930 likes. 930 likes. I bet you the Black Channel could get more than 930 likes. Compare that to us. Compare that to us on just a regular anything. Compare that to us. Compare that to me yesterday about the program saying I'm live. Compare that to us. Compare that to us. You got to have the First Lady on to come anywhere close to that. Hey, enjoy the convo with The Hill about my new show. 79 likes. 173 likes. I'm showing this to you for a purpose. 249 likes. She's trying to promote herself. That's it. She got a lot more views by talking about a TV station. I'm sorry, not a TV station. Her buddy who got the job that she wishes she could have gotten. Is she trying to act like she's not salty about this? So TV station KJP 46. Oh, I'm sorry. Karine Jean-Pierre. I guess this is her way of not seeming salty. Now, ain't this a damn shame? When retweeting the woman who got the job that you thought you should have gotten, they didn't want an imitation stud. Oh boy, did I say that? Yeah, they didn't want an imitation. They wanted the real thing. They didn't want an imitation. They wanted the real thing. That's got to be a soul breaker. Simone has done everything she can to make herself as masculinized as possible, and they let her know at the end of the day, oh, we don't want no fakes. We want the real damn thing. We don't want an imitation. I mean, yeah, Corinne, can't play linebacker if somebody tries to jump up on the stage during a speech, but then again, we have men for security service for that. But yeah, we don't want a fake one. We want the real thing. We want the real thing. That's gotta hurt. So here's my point about it. My point about it is you can see these folks are not nearly as relevant as they try to make themselves here. Don't worry about that. They're not nearly as relevant as they try to make themselves. You saw us posting a clip from ours yesterday. This is hers with these people behind her. This is it. Okay. Do yourselves a favor.
Senator Bernie Sanders and President Biden. First show ends. A few things about me. You may know me from my work in politics, the presidential campaigns of Senator Bernie Sanders and President Biden, or even advising Vice President Harris.
You mean getting kicked out?
I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to sit at the table where big decisions were made. I built a successful career speaking for other people, but now I have something to say. So thank you for joining me at my table here on MSNBC. You know, as a little girl growing up in North Omaha, I used to talk into a spoon or a hairbrush, pretending to be a news anchor. Donna Burns was her name. And now to sit here in the DC Bureau with a show named after me, it is just really a full circle moment. I am filled with gratitude. And now I want to tell you a few things about this show. I know I have a responsibility.
Boy, do y'all see how desperate and grateful this woman is? I use the word woman advisedly. Do you all see she is tearing up? I just want to say you let me in the door finally. Do you see how easily bought off she is? That's a visceral emotional reaction. Can you see how easily bought off she is? They just we'll let you go ahead and get in front of the cameras during some time slot that nobody gives a damn about. And we'll let you in. That's how easily bought off she is. I want you all to understand that's what you're really dealing with. These folks are very, very easily bought off. What I want to do, though, is I need to talk to some people who are not so easily bought off. They're not going to like that. But why don't we go ahead and discuss this anyway here? I got Marcel Dixon on the line by Zoom. If you hear me there, brother.
Yep, I hear you. How are you, Jason?
Right down the street from you, almost literally here. Well, brother, I want to thank you for everything. You know, you came out yesterday. I knew you had a lot. You were very busy. A lot was going on. Some folks were questioning whether or not you're actually going to be able to show up for it. But definitely you came there to get you a plate of the fish fry. And as I know you've seen the video already of Congressman James Clyburn when we dared to ask any questions here, and it wasn't like we asked something incendiary. Oh, Clyburn just went nuts. He went unhinged. Why y'all effing with me? He just came out of the backfield with it. I wanted to get your thoughts on it as a candidate in the race.
Well, first of all, I came because I wanted to see if he's been able to get reelected 30 years with his awful record. I want to see this fish must be amazing. And I'm here to give my review of it. It wasn't all that. The fish was almost as white as this shirt I'm wearing. And then second of all, I'm not surprised by his reaction. When I confronted him back in June 2021, and I gave him statistics about his district being the sixth poorest in the United States of America out of 435. I went through black land theft, how we've lost almost nearly all of our land, 15 million out of 16 million acres. And I told him, you're worried about the crisis at the border. What about the crisis in Black America? He responded with pretty much that same attitude. I mean, he knew better than to use profanity towards me. And of course, I stood my ground. But he always has this contemptuous attitude towards a Black person, a Black American, when we are demanding policy specific for us. What y'all did not see on that same confrontation where I confronted him in my hometown, where I am now, originally in South Carolina, is that about 40 minutes later, Latina, however she wants to classify herself, if we get reparations, she'll be putting on her Black grandmother and trying to shoe on her way in, but asked him about the Dreamers and making sure that Dreamers are protected and a pathway to citizenship. He perked right on up. Did he have the same level of contempt and disgust for her as he had with me and my friend I was with, Tyrone Polk Davis, and another young Black man who came down to the low country, the coast from Colombia? No, he did not. The moment any other group was mentioned, he perked right up. Everyone else either got contempt and disgust, or when another Black family mentioned how they were digging up Gullah Geechee graveyards because they want to expand the port of Savannah, he said, that's a local matter. Go talk to her, and kept it moving. So I wasn't surprised at all.
So Roe v. Wade isn't a local matter, even though that's what the Supreme Court is saying. That's a local matter. Okay, then feminism's not a local matter. LGBT is not a local matter. Illegal aliens not a local matter. Apparently, the Ukrainians, okay, let's dump them off in your neighborhood, but that's not a local matter either. So, all right. Well, glad to see that there. Well, by the way, I don't know if you know anything about do you have any idea who that white man was? Because I've been trying to figure out who that dude is, and I have no idea who that fella is, but that's obviously his handler. Who is that fella?
That is Trav Robertson, who's the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. I made some tweets like a month or so ago about how I wanted to use companies to start making calls to voters. Now they were giving me a hard time. It was like 2 months ago, something like that. It was him who was holding up the process. My communications director writes them to get footage of me at the Democratic County Convention meetings because I want to show y'all that I am the way I am in front of cameras and behind the cameras. They don't respond. It's because of him. And I've heard from other people who have had the audacity, I guess that's how they would see it, to challenge Clyburn. They are treated with the same level of disgust and contempt. This guy, Trav Robertson, that white guy, he's more upset about me challenging Clyburn than he is about the fact that the only Democratic district in South Carolina is majority black and is the poorest district in South Carolina and one of the poorest in the USA. He's not upset about that. He's only upset about Clyburn keeping his seat because Clyburn fills his pockets and he fills his. Trav Robertson is his name. I hope y'all call him and let him have it.
Yeah, because like I say, as soon as everybody on our side here started letting it be known that reparations was the issue, of course, they sent in the goon squad, they brought in the police, and this dude grabbed the microphone and starts talking. And that was the thing that I noticed right there. I'm like, wait a minute, who's running for office here? Clyburn or you? What in the world are you doing? He grabbed the mic and just took over the whole damn thing. And the optics of it, I played it yesterday on yesterday's program, the optics of it were just completely, absolutely unacceptable. This white man is standing in front of a whole group full of black folk and telling them why they need to do his bidding. So to be able to accept that's really a level of degrading yourself to accept that's just unacceptable. So that's why I wanted to know who this guy was, and he must be pretty influential that as soon as Clyburn has an issue, they pass him the mic to speak on his behalf. So this guy's definitely clicked up for certain there. About the people out there in that area, though, I want to ask you one more thing about that. Now, because I got asked about this before. Now, does Clyburn do this every year or just every other year when he's running?
He does it every year.
So if he does this every year, he did this year, you see how he responded then. In the unholy event that we have to see his face again, do you think that they're going to be taking the issue more seriously next time?
No. And the reason I say that, Clyburn's reaction to that young man, his name is Hard Truth on Twitter, and I just want to shout him out. I know there's some debate about him mentioning HR 40. My thing is this: we're all at different parts of this reparations movement, but we have to be appreciative of the fact that he spoke out for us, specifically for us on reparations. No, he's not going to take it any more seriously. Why? Because look at what we're going through now. I already mentioned the land theft. Black men's lives are getting shorter. We have less homes now than we did during Jim Crow. Our children, Black children, are now more likely to commit suicide than white children. Black women have the highest eviction rate, and now they say because of the moratorium on eviction, it's about to be a homelessness crisis, which Black men have already had, because Black men are the most likely to be homeless. We are still going through state-sanctioned murder by police officers. We go to the worst schools. Clyburn's district has the most toxic water. He has the highest eviction rate in the country. The Black Caucus, that's just the data we know. The Black Caucus has access to information that we, the public, may not have. So it's probably a lot worse than what we know. Have they done anything specifically for Black Americans, descendants of American slaves, freedmen? No, they have not. So if Clyburn wins, it's just going to be a reinforcement of his attitude of let those Negroes eat cake. or let them eat fish in his case. So no, he's not going to take our issues any more seriously. And that is why I said I was going to show up, even though I was on his turf, and I was going to speak my message. And even though they told me that I couldn't, because they said it was for only local and state candidates, which, by the way, was a lie, because you saw, as I saw, they had two ladies get up there who's running for U.S. Senate, a congressional seat, federal office. So they told me I couldn't canvass because only for local and state politicians, and let two ladies who I have nothing against, Angela Jarrea and Crystal Matthews, who I met and who I really respect, let them speak about their office, but did not give that same opportunity to me. I wasn't stressing because you saw the crowd wasn't feeling none of them. But still, the fact of the matter is Clyburn is doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 15 down on his, I'm not going to do anything specifically for you Negroes. Because right now, if he was going to do it, he would have done so with me being on his case, and he has not. And he's not. He doesn't care.
Some of the folks, just for some of the folks in the comments sections and whatnot, there were people who were saying, oh, you don't understand how a bill is done and these things take time. What is candidate Marcel Dixon's response to that?
Okay, I'm going to be very rude. I'm going to tell them to shut up. I'm sick of hearing that excuse. It didn't take them a month to get an anti-hate Asian bill go through both chambers of Congress, and that with Congress still being at each other's throat, okay? It took them less than a month for them to approve the bill that Clyburn wrote for Catawba Native Americans who were former enslavers of Black Americans, for them to get 20 acres of land. Clyburn wrote that bill and pushed it through in no time. He did that while Gullah Geechee people who grew the crop that made the 13 colonies wealthy, which was rice, and then also was the original source of wealth to the United States of America. He wrote that bill, sponsored it, and pushed it through himself. A bill takes time. It doesn't take 30 years. And I'm not even talking about H.R. 40, which is a mess. Clyburn has been using H.R. 40 as a shell. I want to address that, if I may, real quick. He told this young man that H.R. 40 has been sitting there for 38 years. Okay, and you've been in there for 30. When Clyburn first took office, it was 1993. The Democrats had a large majority in the House, in the Senate, and Bill Clinton was the president. They had complete control over the government. H.R. 40 sat there and collect dust. They then got full control again when Obama was first put in office. The H.R. 40 sat there and collect dust. Now they have control over the government. Again, House, Senate, and presidency. H.R. 40 is still collecting dust. And H.R. 40, even if they were to get that passed, that's just a study about reparations. Why is Clyburn not being a leader for us, his own people? Well, not really, because I don't think so, but his own people, in writing a real reparations bill. What is there to study? We already know how many acres of land was stolen from Black Americans. We already know the amount, even though there are different ones. There's many amounts out there about the large percentage of wealth we lost because of redlining and Jim Crow. The trillions, more than trillions of dollars that we raised building this nation and defending it. Let's start with the things we know. And if there are other areas where we need to study to develop a plan, let's do that. He has not written a bill. So saying you support H.R. 40, which he did not up until 2 years ago, is not being a leader. Being a leader on reparations would be writing your own bill. And even if the bill does take time, if you are a leader, you write the bill and you take the time to get the bill approved. You had 30 years to do it and you didn't.
I would go even beyond that. Regardless of how a bill or a law goes, your responsibility is in your title to represent. It is your responsibility to represent these people. Whether a law gets passed or not, you're supposed to be speaking on their behalf. When the illegal aliens are at the border, dude, they can't even vote for you. And yet here he is jumping up, him, John Lewis, all the rest of them. Well, that Big Daddy Joe Biden, don't get up. We getting up now. And James Clyburn is not a woman. He doesn't have ovaries, and yet he jumped as soon as they said about we might overturn Roe v. Wade. Well, he's not a woman, but he's jumping up and immediately speaking in no uncertain terms about nothing about we need to study Roe v. Wade. We need to check it out. Now, let's find out what we can do. Is, oh, no, we can go ahead and get straight to work on that. So for everything else, those are issues that he doesn't have anything to do with. He's not a woman. These are non-citizens, and yet he's not given the we need to study talk. So I want to remind people that there's a big difference in how we get talked to in that regard. Marcel, I don't want to hold you here too long here, but I definitely want to find out here. I want you to remind everybody when the election here is, because you're running for office in that area there, and I want people to strongly consider voting for you, because otherwise what you got is Jimbo Jangles. And yesterday was concrete evidence, and I'm a dude from Louisiana, I'm not from the Carolinas, but yesterday is concrete evidence. He is literally getting his strings pulled by the white political establishment. They're literally standing behind him, controlling what he says. Literally, I can't make it any more plain than that.
So the election where I go against Clyburn is June 14th. People seem to think that he's unstoppable. I even heard some idiot say that she knew I was going to lose. Well, yeah, if you don't support someone, then yeah, that person will lose. Clyburn only wins if we allow him to win. The more support I get, the more likely it is that he is going to lose. It's June 14th. If you would like to donate, my website is marcelforcongress.com/donate. And Jason Black, since you were there yesterday, I want to say I heard all the speeches, even though I left early because it was dead. I don't know if you mentioned that, the crowd was dead. The crowd wasn't enthusiastic about being there. Even the old ladies who usually sit there through the whole thing, even they got up and started leaving in the middle of speeches. But you notice he didn't mention a thing. Let's put reparations aside real quick. Let's just talk about general issues that really impact Black Americans. He didn't say a thing about police brutality. He didn't say a thing about land theft, something he knows is important in South Carolina, especially in a city like Charleston and the whole Low Country where I live too, in Jasper County. He didn't mention a thing about the lack of quality education that's available to Black Americans, homelessness, eviction rate. The fact that in his own district, North Charleston and Denmark, South Carolina, the people there don't even have safe drinking water. He is doubling down. It's almost like they're taunting us. Yet he wants us to abort more of our children. Yet he supports a pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants. And I bet you that was an illegal immigrant that came up to him, even if they spoke Spanish, I bet you he would have been all smiles and chuckles and shaking hands and as polite as he could be. It's only us as Black Americans do they respond to with such contempt, and we keep letting them.
Well, definitely I want everyone to go to your website here. Like I say, it doesn't take a whole lot. It just takes enough people. It just takes enough people. And that's the biggest thing we can show people is that you organize online, but ultimately you have to take that show on the road. So Marcel, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. It was good to be out there with you all here, and we're looking forward to June 14th.
Thank you for having me.
Like I say here, folks, you got issues and you have advocates, but you have to use them properly. That's the only thing I can tell you is you have to use it properly here. It's good to speak online. That's great. That's a place for you to organize, but ultimately you show your displeasure with things in the real world. You don't just sit back and watch for it. If you have people who are advocating on your behalf and they're advocating for a Black agenda, you need to get out there and make sure those numbers get counted. You need to be out there for that. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break here. And when we come back, we're going to be taking your telephone calls. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. So Chadwick, Ryan, Keith, Andrew L., everybody else, thank you very much for your support for tonight's program here. When we come back, we'll be taking your phone calls and more. This is The Black Channel.
Hey, I'm Marcus. For a while, I walked around with this empty feeling inside. I had a full-time job, but not in the field I wanted to be in. But then I came across this book where it was like the title was just for me. Guide to Being Black in IT. I read the book and the author took me through scenarios and gave me tips. I sat down and read it and it only took an hour. After I got done, I took advice in the book, practiced in the labs, and got certified. Then I literally got up and applied for a position with the company I've been looking at for a while and got the job. Thanks to that book, I worked my job with confidence. If you're looking to get into IT or even in the field, now this is a must-read book. Go to www.beingblackinit.com.
I am black first. I am empowered. I am on code. I am motivated. I am a proud foundational. My name is Naria Sellers, and nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Order today at Amazon and Google Play. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Join 6zeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog.
Don't you sign up, post.
I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private? Just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at 6zeros.net. Black owned, black operated.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
The future of legal betting is finally here. Place a bet using CashApp with Bitcoin right over the phone. Unlike with traditional gambling sites, every bet you place with us, you're guaranteed a 50% probability of winning. All of our bets are one-on-one against a real person and never the house. We offer some of the most unique bets in the industry. Bets like, will LeBron James win his 5th NBA title? Will Joe Biden be elected for a second term? Will Tesla be worth $1 trillion by the end of 2022? You can even bet on if it will rain tomorrow. You can literally bet on any future event. Text the phrase I bet to the number on the screen, and I'll reply with a list of all our available bets.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us NEED SOFTWARE to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening here out on the East Coast. And just a brief reminder about a couple of things here, just so I can be clear on a few things here. I can understand that there are certain of my critics in the old black media out there, and they've been trolling on my Twitter account. It's what they do. But I just want to give a brief reminder, just in case you thought it wasn't serious, just in case you thought it wasn't real, just in case you thought it was all talk. By the way, you might want to go and give a phone call to your good buddy Jimbo Jangles. You might want to go and call him and ask him how serious I was, and whether or not I'd be afraid to show up in person, or whether or not I'd be concerned about risking that. You might want to ask him how that turned out for him. And to be clear, at some point here, if Bowling Ball Martin finally makes his way down to Louisiana, let me be very, very clear, Roland, I'll be glad to meet you in person also. And then you can ask me anything you'd like to face, my friend. So, I wasn't afraid to come meet a U.S. congressman, and I'm not worried about meeting you. I just wish you would quit leaving me waiting. My time is valuable. And just in case you think you're going to pop up in Louisiana all of a sudden, need I remind you, it only takes about 15 hours to get there. It's only a 15-hour drive away, which in my case is 2.5 tanks of gas. See you on I-20. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. As always, you are welcome to join us on the telephone lines here. We're going to go ahead and see about taking a few phone calls here. Let me get caller from area code 419. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Joe out of Toledo.
Joe from Toledo, what's on your mind?
Jason, like I always say, bro, you keep it 100, and thank you very much for exposing this fish fry for what it really is, like you did last year. But now this year, you really exposed it. I only have one question to ask you, which I think you already know. Do you really think, because we know that politics requires money, do you really think Marcel has a chance?
The short answer is yes. That's the short answer. Because you gauge what people are afraid of. You're dealing in an election year where support for the Democrats is way down. You're dealing in an election year where the number one issue that they've had is whether or not people resonate with their message, whether or not they even actually have one. Let's be very clear. The President of the United States is worried right now. The President of the United States is worried right now. Let's not forget that. He's sitting in office and he's worried right now. But as far as having funding is concerned, what I am going to say is I would definitely just remind people here, black folks have a real bad habit of when our interests are at stake, all of a sudden folks want to sit back and they don't want to push the events and push things into being. Let's be very clear. Now, as far as Mushmouth and Square Jaw, understand something. They are scrapping for their daily bread. Their whole thing, they don't want their goal was never for black people to get anything. You have to understand, Square Jaw works for the Democrats, so you have to understand where they come from. Individuals pushing an LGBT agenda, what they're really doing is they're exposing their base motives, that they have no interest in black people as a group gaining political power and a black agenda. So their whole thing was about getting attention. I don't care about getting attention. I can go anywhere and everywhere. I don't care about getting attention. I'm not trying to get any spotlights on me. I'm not trying to do any of that. That's never what I've done. But these other folk, they have a vested interest in making sure that we don't have any concrete changes to what's happening. They wanted to be sloganeering. Please remember, all it took was one interview from the New York Times and ABC News, and all of a sudden, they were completely off of a black agenda altogether. It was about them. And if that sounds like the so-called Black Lives Matter organization, yeah, you'd be right. So we've seen this movie run over and over again for these known political quantities, these known political entities. We've seen this run again and again. We've seen this happen. What I am going to say is that for everybody here, I didn't make any excuses, and no one else should either. You're not going to get anything out of this system given to you. You're going to get out of it what you take from it. So if you're concerned or worried about those things, that is all the more reason to get involved. That is all the more reason to get involved. And by the way, not just South Carolina. South Carolina, New York, Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee, out there in Los Angeles, Representative Bass is out there. Trying to run for mayor. There's a number of different places. It's not just one. This needs to become the new way under the sun. But first and foremost, we need to send a message. That is the number one thing, is sending a message. Sending a message about what the agenda really is and who we really support in that. But as we've told you for years now, people who do not support their advocates will become a people with no advocates. It's that simple.
And thank you for pushing that message, Jason. Thanks to you for these years of pushing that message. Be one.
Black First, thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Alan from Chicago, Jason.
Alan from Chicago. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind, man? I'm a little afraid for the brother. The brother got a very good intent, but I think he needs some serious bodyguards on his side, because this government, man, they tricky and they sneaky. They'll try to put something on that brother or try to come at him, if you know what I mean. Bring them steals and lay them to rest. You understand?
Well, like I say, people have been telling me for over a decade now, watch how you go, watch how you move. I've been in some hairy situations myself. But the bottom line is, brother, what you're actually saying is actually a damning commentary on our so-called political leaders, in that we are far more willing to risk life and limb and risk ourselves than they are. That's a damning commentary on them. But just understand, this goes with the territory. This goes with the territory. Our real job is, protect your advocates, absolutely. But the real job is to have so many of them that such a tactic doesn't work. That's the real goal. You have so many of us that, by the way, such a tactic simply doesn't work. There's so many of them. So that's the whole purpose of the Black Channel, is so that we understand that that's the real goal, is to have so many advocates, so many activists, so many people active, that old trick of knocking off the leader, there is no leader, there's an agenda, and various people will pick up if you knock one person off, another one jumps up to pick up the mantle. That's the way it is. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 704. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Bobby, Charlotte, North Carolina. About the agenda, I went to a political situation here in Charlotte, and I asked the sitting mayor, what are you doing specifically for Black people? And her response was, and before she gave her answer, I said, and before you give your answer, I don't want you to tell me, what you're doing for Black and brown or diversity, minority, and the new politic word of this event is racial equity, because when you use those words, there's a pecking order, and that pecking order goes just like this. 1, the white man's going to eat first because he's gay. 2, the white woman, she's going to eat because she's a minority. 3, then you have the Asian. Then you have the Latino. Then if there's anything left, if there's anything left, of course you have the Indian, but if there's anything left, then for Black people, we get the crumbs. So what are you doing for Black people, particularly, specifically, Well, her response was, and I quote, well, I'm helping out some black people, black children get full rides at Johnson C. Smith University. And I responded to that, well, that's anecdotal. And then she got angry and she said, well, actually, I can't do anything specifically for black people because that would be illegal because it's race-based. And I'm not going to break the law for anybody, end quote. Well, I had an out-of-body experience. I couldn't believe that, you know, politicians, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, cannot do anything for black people specifically because it's race-based. And so what I learned that night was when they use words or phrases like racial equity, minority, diversity, black and brown, well, they take those phrases and they put them into the bills or policies, legislations that's being written. And when you ask, what can you do for black people specifically? Well, now their hands are tied. They can't do anything for black people specifically. And
technically, what they'll tell you is that's always been the case. So, and technically what they're saying is correct. The problem is in practice. The issue we run into is in practice because technically speaking, the law says everybody has equal rights under the law. Well, if everyone was having their equal rights protected under the law, then we wouldn't need to have any civil rights bills. We wouldn't need the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. We wouldn't need a number of different things that have happened since then if in practice our rights were actually being protected in the first place. The other thing is when folks tell you things like that, just understand they have no problem talking about an Equality Act. They have no problem talking about women's rights. They have no problem talking about Roe v. Wade is for women. Okay, so what about not being able to discriminate on the basis of gender? They have no problem saying that. So for LGBT, Roe v. Wade, anything like that, all of a sudden, oh, it's perfectly fine. All of a sudden they get real buck. Here's the real thing I want everyone to understand. Get something here. Get something here. I want everyone to listen to what I'm about to say next, including you, brother. I want everyone to listen to what I'm about to say next here. I started this platform over a decade ago, and it has been a long slog. It has. And what it has been is a long, ongoing educational effort and a motivational effort. Because the conversation, the national conversation among black people was radically different 13 years ago than it is now. Radically different. And today, at least this is in the conversation. And now people are accepting that this is the black platform. This is the black agenda going forward. But I want everyone to understand we are not at the end of the beginning. This is the beginning of the beginning. And what this means is that we're going to have to understand that we are not going to be able to take it easy at any point here. If all this work could be done when the civil rights generation was out there, when you had magnificent individuals like Dr. King, like Malcolm X, like Medgar Evers, like Stokely Carmichael, when you had some of the elder gods of state out there and they had black folk rallied in the hundreds of thousands, that was the time to finish this. That was the time to keep this going. That was the time to deal with this because our generation should be taking care of far different things. We're just on this treadmill where we keep fighting the same white supremacist establishment decade after decade. If this apparatus was in place when we were born, then our lives would look a whole lot different. I want this generation to understand we cannot walk off the field early. We cannot take it easy. You know, there was a phrase that the Prime Minister of China, the President of China, said about Taiwan. As you all know, Taiwan is an independent nation, but the Chinese government considers it to be a breakaway province, is what they consider Taiwan to be. And they want Taiwan back under their thumb the way they got Hong Kong back under their thumb. And they're not going to let the matter go. And the president of China, in a speech here a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, he has said, we intend to have the question of Taiwan settled in our lifetime. We are not going to pass this on to the next generation. Now, I want you to think about that for a few moments. When Dr. John Henry Clarke talked about China and its ambitions and how it changes society, he talked about they have 50-year plans and 100-year plans, plans that outlived the people who made them, who started them. That these were plans that they would only live long enough to begin, and it would be up to future generations to finish it. And now China has gotten to a point where they're saying, oh, well, there are certain things that we have no intention of passing on to the next generation. There are public works projects we'll pass on to the next generation. There are political ambitions we pass on to the next generation. Those are our interests. But there are certain other things we ain't passing this on to the next generation. We're gonna deal with this. We will not pass this on to the children. The great sin committed by the civil rights generation is that they were lazy bastards who passed on their problems to everybody else. And it's very easy to recognize their true spiritual children because they walk around today passing their problems on to everybody else and vomiting all over the landscape in front of everybody else. We're different. We have to make a commitment that we are not going to pass this on to the next generation, that we are going to deal with this right here, right now, where it is. And we're not going to give up one more inch. But it's going to require desire. It's going to require commitment. Yeah, it will require finances, but let me tell you, without desire and commitment, it's not going to accomplish anything else. It's not going to accomplish anything else. When I get asked questions about money, and don't get me wrong, money matters, but I am going to tell you all something else. Take a look at the Church of Scientology. When people are committed to something, whether you agree with their religious views or not, when people are committed to something, they can get something done. The LGBT movement, like it or hate it, they haven't really required on tons of money. They've had an agenda and they haven't moved. And we are going to have to accept that this is going to be our agenda and we cannot move on it. And we have to be the loudest voices of advocacy for ourselves. This idea that we're going to sit back and don't worry, everything's going to be all right, that inactivism, that inaction is your way of saying somebody else is going to take care of it for me. And then next thing you know, you go out one night and the blue lights are behind you and oh hell, you might make it home tonight, then again you might not. Then again you might not, and you'll be just another hashtag on Twitter, just another statistic. So our generation has to take it very seriously. That right here, right now, we're not passing this on to the next generation. We have to become the smartest, most astute, most well-educated. The reason why I bring you all back here week after week is so that I drill this into you so that when you get in positions and things, and you're dealing with people and you're talking with folk, you know exactly what to say. You know exactly what you're looking for. Because you can move the needle. And we have moved the needle. Trust me, I've been doing this a whole lot longer and a whole lot harder than the rest of you have. You can move the needle, but you're going to have to accept that that's your responsibility to do so. So I'm glad you went and spoke to him. That's good to know. That's good to hear. We need to continue doing that kind of thing. But more than anything else, everybody has to be equally committed and equally active about this. That's what's going to make the change, because we do not want to pass this on to the next generation.
Well, she did. Once she was off stage, she pulled me to the side and said, now, what is it you really want? And what's your solution to, this problem? And I told her point blank, I said, well, if race-based is the problem, and it seems like it is the problem, then make it lineage-based. And she looked at me crazy, and she says, well, I'll just get you on my advisory board. I'll have somebody email you. I'll get you my email address, which I'm sure that was a tactic for, her to silence me once I gave her my answer, because, of course, I'm for reparations as well, and that's what I was leading. And when they asked, when she asked for the answer, I said, make it lineage-based, and then the only people in line will be black people in line, and you won't have that pecking order.
Well, more than anything else, like I say, you have somebody like Marcel who's done a lot of groundwork. He's gotten his name out there and he's gotten a lot of people to recognize him. You recognize an individual and then you can start having conversations with them about the things that interest you. Everybody has to become an advocate in that regard. Everybody has to get the skill set to be able to advocate and advocate in that regard. That's important. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We do not want to pass that on to the next generation. Not at all. We don't want to pass that on to the next generation. We need to make sure that we are different from the ones that came before us and that we deal with this monster where it is. But we're not expecting somebody else to run in and take care of this for us. Caller from area code 810, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, he is in the middle of a fist fight right now. I hope he survives. Caller from area code 609, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Amun, Atlantic City.
Okay, what's your name again?
Amun.
All right, Amun, and what's on your mind?
I'm calling in regards to how many votes did Jim Clyburn win in his last election? 2, how many votes will it take for Marcel to win? And 3, how many committed voters registered voters are committed to vote for Marcel on June 14th? It's 36 days before Election Day. If he has voters in his committed voters bank, have those committed voters make sure that they come out on Election Day to win.
Okay, brother, I think that's a great idea. Have you contacted Marcel at his website to help? Because Jim Clyburn has a bunch of volunteers. They're not being paid any money. They're volunteers. Have you thrown your efforts behind it? That doesn't even cost money. All that takes is time.
I've sent money, and hoping that he's listening, I'd love to know or have his people know that committed voters win. And I could call or go to his website and email him the exact questions I said here.
Well, definitely go ahead and get in touch with him here. Because folks, understand, we're not here to come and talk to me about probing questions there. If you're really serious, you need to contact directly. That's where you organize at. You don't come here and ask superfluous questions. It's about getting down and getting to the work of it. So if you want people to take you seriously, you need to be on the candidate's phone, not this one.
He was on your program. I was hoping that he would hear it.
Okay,
and I will
sir.
do exactly what you just
said. We literally
Yes,
already said you need to contact him on his website. He literally said that. So can I talk to him on your program? Why don't you call the candidate directly? Just a thought.
Certainly.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Just a thought here, folks. Just a thought. See, folks, a lot of folks want to be heard. They want to be seen. We got to get out of that. It's not about being heard or being seen. I didn't say anything to anybody before I showed up in the Carolinas. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just showed up. I didn't tell any of you I was going. I just said, hey, by the way, who's going to the fish fry? Who's going? Who's going to be there? That was all I did. I didn't say anything to anyone. I just got up and did it. And then I started connecting with people who were there. That's how you recognize somebody who's serious. That's also how you recognize someone who's not. That's also how you recognize somebody who's not. That's one of them fellas there. What you need to do is, see what you need to do. Y'all need to listen to me. Well, who are you? I'm Reverend James John Bishop of the New United African Methodist Episcopal Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints of Baltimore, Maryland. And see what y'all need to do. Let me show you how this is done right here. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give us a call and organize on that? Oh, okay, that's good, but I want to hold the microphone right quick. No, this is not open mic night. Caller from area code 612, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jason. Good evening. This is George from Minnesota.
George from Minnesota, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Jason, I just want to make maybe two little points. One, the very first thing is, I heard one caller talking about with the guy who wants to run for that against Jim Clyburn should be careful. Look, we have been careful. I mean, the fear that we have in us has always been our downfall. We should be bold enough to stand and, face the beast in front of us. You hide, it kills you. You just have one option, face it. And to be cautious and face it. That's the first thing I will have to say that we have to be doing as a group of people. Secondly, there's this element that I want to make a comment on. If you watch the way the Democrats, how condescending and demeaning they talk to the black family. Look at how Joe Biden spoke to the black family. Look, when they asked him that, what are you going to do for the black people after they voted him? He was very condescending and demeaning towards the black family. Is that same element that you see Jim Clyburn talking, the way he talks to black people? It's so disrespectful. The Democrats have been extremely very disrespectful to the black family. And the last point I just want to throw in there is this. People, I know they made a comment about, I've heard a comment about the Roe versus Wade stuff that's going on currently. Black people should understand that it is not for, it is such, we are just accidentally benefiting from the law that are going to put in place for Roe versus Wade. It is meant for the white people because they are the ones that use that, how to call it, the abortion clinic the most than black people. So we might think that, they're trying to stop Planned Parenthood. They are the ones that use it the most, so they are doing it for themselves. We just accidentally benefit by them not killing the few black babies that they have been killing there. Thank you, Jason, and thank you for the good work. We'll keep on following you. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us a call here tonight. Now, per capita, however, black people abortion has been marketed to black women and used by black women per capita far more than white women. 6% of the population, but a third of the abortions. That's enormous. So let's be very, very clear. That's something that was targeted towards black people. And I'm a firm believer that the establishment that doesn't want to give you reparations, doesn't want to give you health care, but come to annihilate your babies, drop a 10 and come on in. Okay. Can't you see the fix is in? Caller from area code 734. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is cousin Uncle Grampy from Ann Arbor.
All right, Uncle Grampy from Ann Arbor. What's on your mind?
Well, what I wanted to say was more to the B1 Brigade family. At first, thank you, brother, for being on air and doing what you were doing. Let me say that first. And to the B1 family, if you consider yourself a member of the B1 Brigade, consider yourself in an army. And in an army, you need to be a general. And a general needs to make sure that each of his moves that he makes is strategic. I am asking all of my B1 Brigade brothers and sisters, wherever you may be strategic in every move you make. Not some, every. Be a general, not a corporal, not a private, not a bullet stopper, a decision maker. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
I agree with that. You don't need to be cannon fodder. This is the special forces over here. These are not the buck privates. We're the special forces. You need to behave like it. Caller from area code 312. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, I'm Holly from Chicago.
Holly from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yes. I was talking to my 26-year-old grandson, and he said that reparations wouldn't be good because it puts everybody on the same level and it would be chaos. I just want you to speak to that because I think some people have the wrong idea about a level playing field. And it's probably because he's young. I'm way older.
Okay,
and I have never
me find
seen
out
a level
here.
Playing field.
Now, you said he's 26 years old?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, who in the world has been? I sound like T.K. Kirkland. Who raised you? I'm trying to figure out who raised him to think like that. That's my first question to you, since that's your grandson. Who was responsible for inculcating this buffoonery in him?
Well, he's from Ohio. He lives in Ohio. He was raised by his mother because my son, his father, was in Denver and they had problems. But they raised them together, but not enough.
Yeah, just one interracialist coon region after another. Boy, I'm telling you. So, yeah, basically they left the damn children on their own is what they did. They left the children by themselves and just, okay, get it how you live. And now he's a grown male talking this nonsense here. What it's because the way that the statement reflects to me, the way I'm interpreting it from the way I heard it there, is that he is afraid that if black people, and I'm assuming is he mixed or anything like that?
He kind of said he's only worried about himself because you can't
slow down. Let me find out though. Is he mixed?
No, we're black.
Okay.
Totally black.
His mother and his father.
That is correct.
Okay. So he's afraid of other black folk getting reparations because he's afraid it's going to put everyone, he is scared of black people being on the same level as whom?
He said it would be like the Wild Wild West if everybody was walking around with everything that they needed, because people would become complacent and then they would start, attacking each other or something like that.
Yeah. So basically what you've got is a young, scared Negro who is afraid of power. That is the definition of being scared of being powerful. So in other words, what he's saying is, look, we got us a good thing set up by these white folks over here. These white folks have set up, we got a good thing going on over here. The white folk are at the top. We are safely at the bottom. I mean, this is plantation talk. Why do y'all need to get all uppity? What you gonna do with power, wealth, and influence and control? We got a good thing going on here. The white folks run things. Mr. Charlie, he kind of rough on us sometimes, but Mr. Charlie, he know what he doing. Y'all wouldn't know what to do. So basically, I mean, this is coon talk. He's scared of being powerful, and at this point, it's practically guaranteed he's got a couple of non-black girlfriends running around when he's talking like that. He's fighting too damn hard to identify with something that is against his interests. He's fighting too hard for that. So somebody has conditioned him and raised him to be afraid of being powerful. He's comfortable where he is. He's 26 years old and literally articulating that he is more comfortable being under the control and oppression of a white supremacist establishment. And he's scared of what would happen if he had to be responsible for innovating and leading in his own life.
Can I clarify something?
You can try.
Okay, he's in prison and he's been reading the law.
There you go.
He's been reading the laws, and he says that some of these laws were set up. They were set up so that to keep people down, but it's a balance of power or something.
Yeah,
like that.
there you go. So basically, we got prison babble. He talking like he's free. He's talking like he's out here on the streets, and he needs to worry about empowering himself now. Is what he needs to worry about. He is the most under control. What is he in prison for, ma'am?
It's been in the paper. He was in front of a gas station, and the police approached him with a gun, and he took out his gun, and so that's why he's in jail. He got shot 19 times, and it's in the news. But he
got shot 19.
I didn't want to.
He got shot 19 times, and he's still alive.
And he's still alive, yes, sir.
Okay, he might want to start his own comic book. Is what he might want to do while he's wasting time with those law books. He might want to start his own comic book. That's what he might want to do. But the bottom line is, what I am saying here is that basically it's a situation where, he has embraced powerlessness, and he has turned the intellectual masturbation. And we have a lot. This is a very common thing among powerless individuals. They transform intellectual masturbation. They turn everything into an academic discussion. They'll sit up here and will talk to you for hours about the origin of the color yellow. And that's the whole thing. They just get used to sitting around and talking because that's all they got time to do. They have time. All they have is time to sit there and intellectually masturbate over everything. That's all they got time to do. He needs to worry less about the rest of the society and much more about himself. Because with that type of attitude, the only thing he's going to do is hit the streets. He will be completely institutionalized, and he'll be just looking to go back to prison again because he doesn't know how to function in the real world. He doesn't have any desire to take responsibility for his own life. He's going to try to intellectualize and rationalize away taking control of his own life. So that's really where that comes from. He's afraid of taking control in his own life. So when you talk to him about that, yeah, I heard these other folks want reparations. Well, I don't want control of my life, and they shouldn't want it either. Well, they wouldn't know what to do with it. No, you don't know what to do with it, and you're projecting it on everybody else.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Got shot 19 times, unless it was the same leg. I don't know. Can you have 17 flesh wounds? He got shot 19 times. What were they using? Rubber guns? Wiffle balls? 19. I'm almost certain that number is not correct. I am almost certain that number is not correct. Either that or that nigga's Kryptonian. Caller from area code 808. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is Lee from Honolulu.
Lee from Honolulu, what's on your mind?
Excellent broadcast, and I enjoyed last night's broadcast as well. And that was an incredibly thin crowd from what I could gather from the footage. And, not only Clyburn, but the woman who approached the brother with the camera, they called him black trash, he needs to answer for that. That's his people. How do you call your constituency trash? How do you call black people black trash, at an event like that? So, I mean, this is something that Marcel and his people should harp on, that this is their contempt for black people. It's right out there.
I absolutely agree. That's the whole reason why they don't want this kind of thing being seen by any large number of people or any appreciable number of people, because, it really does raise a lot of questions.
Yeah, she's smiling while she's told him that. I mean, there was no anger in her. She was smiling contemptuously, calling this black man black, trash. Comfortable with it.
Well, like I say, that definitely shows you who are your advocates and who are not. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from area code 662. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is Aaron calling from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Aaron from Tupelo, what's on your mind?
Yes, for the lady that just called, she didn't say her son's name, but I think his name was Luke Cage.
Okay, well, that's what I was about to say. She didn't say his name, but I'm almost certain his name is Batman. I'm almost certain. I'm not 100% certain. It's Batman, Kal-El, El-Zod. What's his name? Zod, El-Zod, or whatever it is, the black Superman. It's one of them is who it is. I'm just not certain which one it is. So, Power Man, somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was called in the show that asked you a question. Now, Clyburn said that he'd been working on getting the study of reparations for over 30 years, or for 30 years at least. That's like a generation, right? Is that like a generation?
Yeah, that's basically can be, sure.
Okay, so now if you've been fighting that long for something that you claim you feel strongly about, when Joe Biden first came in office and they had him in front of millions of people, I think it was CNN or MSNBC, and they asked him, what can Joe Biden do for you? The first thing he said, he didn't want nothing. So therefore, how can you say that you've been fighting for something for that long and you forget about the thing that you've been fighting for, to the point where you just got this man in office and they are asking you, what do you want from him for getting him in office, and you say you don't want nothing? In fact, you kind of got an attitude when you said it. So, you know what I'm saying? This guy ain't serious, but I just want people, you know what I'm saying, to remember back when Biden first got in office, the fact that he said he didn't want nothing, so he's not fighting for nothing. All right, thank you.
Well, definitely, you're absolutely right to remind people that when Jimbo Jangles was asked about what he wanted, well, I just want a place where my daughters are free and they can just be who they want to be, and All I'm really looking for is just have our little slicer thing. You know? Okay. This is all the more reason to get these damn octogenarians and geriatrics out of the room. They're not even cogent enough to represent us, and they got some white men behind them feeding every word into their mouths. Caller from area code 718, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, I'm Babs from Brooklyn. And I think that all of us that worked on that Obama campaign, we need to take all the shit that we learned from them and put it to somebody like Marcel. And I'd like to say that in every state, there's an election law that pertains to every state. So it's usually free to get it. Look at the election law. And I can't believe they actually pushed him away from this event because he's a citizen of Charleston. And, you know, you're supposed to be able to walk these and go to these things at will. And that was just really ugly. And him, you know, cursing and everything that he did, it was just really ugly. And Marcel could just use a clip. And for all the tweeters and everybody out there, just use social media. This guy has no business being in office, and it's 3 generations. 30 years is 3 generations. He's done nothing. He needs to go. And anybody that uses their family as campaign managers or blah, 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 because so many kids go to school for that shit, it's like, you shouldn't have liked them anyway. You should be looking at, you know, look at The Good Wife, look at some of these TV shows and watch how that stuff really works. It really works usually the way they say on TV, and just everybody look at election law in South Carolina, New York, wherever you are, look at the election law and petitions. Everybody needs to sign petitions to get anybody on the ballot and make sure Marcel is on the ballot, and I think he's going to win. And thank you for what you did. I wish I could have been there, but, you know, I'm in the Northeast, and I'm trying to get other people to donate money to him. These old black women that I know, they've got money, and they got nothing to do with it. I'm telling them to donate the money to him.
Well, definitely, you know, action matters more than words, and especially for this generation. This generation needs to be very action-oriented. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. And, you know, don't sit around asking what to do. Don't sit around asking what to do. You already know what to do. You already know what to do. Oh, look, it's season 1 of The Fresh Prince in Bel-Air. There's Dr. Robotnik. But in any case here, like I said, you already know what to do. I didn't sit around asking people what I should do. I got up and did it. I didn't ask, was this the right thing to do? Is this okay? Is this approved? Do I have your permission for XYZ? Folks, I'm not doing that. And guess what? You don't have to do that either. You don't have to do that either. You don't have to ask anybody's permission for anything. Get up and do. Well, Jason, what do we do? First of all, the first thing is, if you know who your candidate is, you have to organize around them, not around Jason. I'm just one person. I was doing what I'm doing what the candidates would have told you to do. I was doing what they would have told you to do. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's not rocket science. Let me get caller from area code 484. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Jason, this is Supernova from Crackerville in Pennsylvania.
All right, Supernova from Crackerville. What's on your mind?
Yeah. What I'd like to say is we have hominids with appendages that are labeling so-called black folks because of a man. Why is it that these 2-3 years, whatever, of all this rioting and whatnot, why didn't we?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here, sir.
Let me finish this.
Sir, I'm not going to argue with you. Be quiet, sir.
Okay,
where are you calling, sir? Where are you calling? Stop talking. Where are you calling from?
I'm from what we call the Northeast. All this stuff is fictional, bro.
Okay, sir, put the pipe down and get off the phone.
Pipe down.
Y'all got to understand, some of these fellas here, they're doing their prison babble. Yeah, they're doing their prison babble. They think it's open mic night. Ooh, this is open mic night. But see, my name is the Honorable El Haj Malik Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Jabaz, and I am calling in from the belly of the beast. Where's the belly of the beast? Pittsburgh. Okay. And what you don't understand is that we are in a complex system of controls, and what we have to understand is to break the matrix. This is what happens when you have open mic night. That's why I don't do open mic night. I don't want a bunch of people calling up, making a bunch of quote-unquote suggestions. If your suggestion is so great, do what I did, what Marcel did, and what all the real folk are out here doing. Get off your ass and get to work. Don't tell us it works. Get out here and show us a proof of concept. He wants to call me up. Ooh, there's an open microphone. All I got to do is dial a number. Ain't that as good as doing something? No, actually, it's not as good as doing something. It's actually not as good as doing something. Caller from area code 516. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on? This is John calling from Charlotte by way of New York.
John from Charlotte. What's on your mind?
Just something real quick, man. My family, I'm actually, my parents are, my family side comes from Panama and Jamaica. So I have the Caribbean and Hispanic background, but they're black, right? But my family is heavily into the Democratic Party. And I always tend to get in these arguments with them saying that, at barbecues and things like that, just saying that, it's a waste of time for us to be voting for these folks because there is nothing in it for us. Right. And they always have these emotional responses. And like one of the things that, when the brother pulled up in that video with the older woman said, "You're ruining our fun." Like it's a game or something, like it's football, like it's basketball, like it's just a team you root for. I think it's just, that's just the state of, I guess older, I'm 33 and, most of my family, there's a lot of older folk, who came here, immigrated, and, older folk, like, yeah, it's a game. It's fun. It's not something that is like, it's an emotional thing, not something you're actually trying to get something out of.
That's my point. So for the civil rights generation, they fell for the gamification of politics. I've talked about this now for over a decade. Politics for them was gamified. So they see the Democrats to the civil rights generation are like the Detroit Lions to Detroit. No offense, Detroit, but y'all know it's true. Yeah, the team sucks, and they can't win, but they love the game of football. They know they have to be involved in it, so this is what you got. So it's being gamified. So we support the team, even if the team sucks. Okay, well, what if the team is picking up chairs and throwing them at you? Do you still support the team then? What if the team has done gotten in the damn lawnmower and is riding up into the stands and chopping y'all down? Do we still support the team then? Or do we say, you know what, new team, or at the very damn least, we need to replace the players, at least? How about that one? So, no, for the civil rights generation, the gamification of politics, this is all a game to them. You know why? Because they've got far fewer years in front of them than they do behind them. They got no fight left in them. And as far as they're concerned, they don't give a damn what happens to the earth at this point because they're not going to be here. And for those who are going to be here, you better damn well take this seriously. But these old folk don't really care what's going to happen because as far as they're concerned, well, I won't be here for it anyway. So it doesn't matter. So let us go ahead and get our drink on and sit up here and play around. A bunch of little old ladies who can't have children anymore. Their booty shaking days are long gone and long past them. Yeah, but the rest of you are catching hell. I'll let you have the last word.
No, I mean, I appreciate what you do, man. And, I love, just listening to your program, brother. And, it's good to see, action happening, within the community. So, I look forward to, doing some more, man. And, I'm most definitely going to send you a CashApp, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And let me be clear. I'm not the best organizer in the world about anything, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a big people person like that. There are some dudes out there in the Carolinas and whatnot. If you know how to put on events, you know how to do that. That's the kind of thing you want to get in touch with folk for. Remember, that was how Don Peebles started. Everybody talks about him. Man's worth $1 billion or so. Okay, but he started politically organizing and fundraising for candidates in D.C. And he used that as a method of networking. His mom was politically connected, and he used that as networking. And what I'm saying here is that that's something anybody can do. It wasn't like there was huge throngs showing up for the current congressman's fish fry. It wasn't like that. These things are really won by who's the most mobilized. It really is. There's no reason to complicate it way outside of that. Caller from area code 813, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, it's JP out of Tampa, Florida.
JP out of Tampa, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to get your thoughts on something. I was talking to my wife about this Roe versus Wade thing, and she was telling me that in a lot of states, it's going to be a felony to have an abortion. But she was saying medically, you can't really, if you go to a doctor, you can't tell the difference between a miscarriage or an abortion. So she said that might be a tactic, to lock up black women. Oh, you had a miscarriage, it could have been an illegal abortion.
Certainly, that's I'm not in favor of that by any stretch of the imagination. I'm certainly not. And I certainly don't want to support people who are going for that kind of thing. So definitely tell your kids, keep your daughters off the pole. But we're not talking about that tonight, though. Thank you very much for giving us a call, or not. Caller from area code 810, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, can you hear me pretty well?
Yeah, now that you turned the Disco 9000 off, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm basically in Detroit, and I've been going out to the protest for Patrick Leoya, and the game that the cops in the city and the local media, city commissioners are playing.
Okay.
It's really,
brother. Let me find out.
Thing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Wait, no, I have a question though.
Okay. Do you have a question about? Do you have a question about what we're discussing tonight, sir?
You said you're gonna what?
Okay. You have a lot going on.
Wait. My bad. I didn't hear you. My question is, what do you think is the best way to deal with the situation where all the police and the media and the black city commissioners are all, on this PR game? What do you think we can do to push them to get them to start going on TV and being honest, like a lot of these politicians and cops are down there, where they're on TV saying these are a bunch of criminals?
The first thing that you need to do is you have to, sir, the first thing you have to do is be a competent operative for your cause. That is the first thing you have to do. The first thing you have to do if you're going to galvanize people around your position is you must yourself be a competent operative. Start there. Number two,
I've been definitely using language from the black media, and I'm
next thing to do, sir, is be quiet, sir. The next thing to do is as I've always told you all, the next thing to do is get the family involved. It is the families in these situations that matter much more than you. When you're running for Congress, you got to get a hold of the candidate. In a situation like this, the most important people are the families. So if the families are not advocating in their interests, then you're not going anywhere. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you do not need to contact the politicians, sir. You need to contact the family, because if the family is not on code and if the family is not promoting their interests effectively, it is going to make it nearly impossible for you to get anything done. So start there. Yes, folks need to calm down. They say they want to ask questions, and just understand some folks just want to. Folks, it's not time to jawbone. I'm just understand. You don't have to do all that. I know you get excited and stuff, and folks have agendas, and there's a microphone here, but that microphone didn't get established because we just wander all over the place. So if you want people to take your agenda seriously, especially in a situation where the police have been doing something like that, where's the family? You all know where I stand in that regard. Everybody now, you don't want to forget the lessons that you learned here. We told you all the most effective thing you can do is have the family involved. The family needs to be beating the drum. In the case of Botham Jean, the family was beating the drum right up until they started hugging folk in court. The family was beating the drum right up until then. So that's what matters most. And we have to beat the drum in our own advocacy. We have to beat the drum in our own regard. We got to beat the drum for that. And let me say one more thing right here. When Barack Obama ran for president in 2007, you had a lot of black folks who were doubting it until he won Iowa. Black folk don't tend to support or believe in anything unless white folks are sitting there patting them on the back and telling them, as you can see in the picture there on your screen, unless there's a white person behind them giving them permission to think it, giving them permission to dare to think it. Inversely, if a white person tells a black person you need to do something here, oh, well, you'll sacrifice yourself for the cause. Black folk don't have a problem sacrificing themselves for quote unquote the cause, even if it goes nowhere, as long as white folk tell you that, oh, this is a cause worth dying for. Black people need to get into the spirit of learning to live and die for our own causes. We have to start understanding and embracing the nobility of dying for our own causes. Malcolm X talked about that when he was alive. He was far closer to World War II than any of us when he was talking about how you had black men going over to Europe, fighting in the Pacific against Japan, fighting for rights they didn't even have. When white folk tell you to go overseas and risk your life and get shot at, and die, quote, die for your country, a country that didn't even give you any rights. You need to die for your country. And yet when it comes to our interests, all of a sudden you ain't got no blood. Let the white folks show up and show you the movie 300. Boy, you come out of it stoked. I'll die, boy, right here. Come home with your shields on it. Yeah. Give me a big old tattoo. Okay, as soon as it comes to your interest, well, I don't know. Let me see the paperwork. How many people you got involved over there and how many is, I need to see exactly how many it is and who is there. I need to find it out. I need to see how many it is and who is there and what's going on. That's what I need to have. I need to have that. I got to see all the information, all the paperwork. That's the problem that we have. When it comes to us advocating for ourselves, then that's a problem. When it comes to us understanding that we have interests that transcend any of these other things, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. We don't need other people sitting up here having more of an interest in us than we have in ourselves. That's the problem. So when it comes to us actually advocating for ourselves, I don't want you sitting up here using the same old tired rationale. We're at the beginning of an effort. We're at the beginning of an effort, not the end of it. And I want you to understand it's going to take everything you've got in this regard. But I also want to remind you of one more thing. Regardless of how June 14th goes, June 14th, no matter what occurs, is not the end of anything. June 14th is another day on the calendar that we're going to be grinding regardless. It's another day on the calendar we will be grinding regardless. Because if you win the election, now that you got power, you got to fight to keep it. Now, I want you to recognize and see your lives differently. I didn't ask anybody to give me permission to come up here. I got a full tank of gas and I let them wheels keep turning until I got here. And I didn't let anybody tell me how I should act or what I should do. I got to doing it, which is what I've been doing for over a decade. But that attitude can't just be isolated to me. So I want you all to understand, get beyond the point of asking questions, get to the point of doing. And take a look at how scared your opponents are. Take a look at how rattled they are. Take a look at how worried they are. That is not the face of a man who's got a firm grip on power. That's the face of a man who is concerned and worried. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I want you all to understand something. Get this through your heads. If you want the black agenda to be taken seriously, then what you will have is a candidate who speaks like Marcel Dixon. If you have a candidate in that situation who speaks like that, and as we said before, you start taking people off, taking political bodies out here and get them out of office, that's when you start getting taken seriously. You start getting taken seriously for one reason, because you were able to have a goal and see it through to fruition. You had a goal and you saw it through to fruition. And when they see that you can start making goals, executing, and then succeed at them, now people take you seriously. What they want to see is whether or not we're all talk or whether or not we can get anything done. And we have to be relentless about this. This is not about one election in one state or 1 year. This is about survival. This is about survival. And there are no excuses for your survival. We need to have 1,000 Marcel Dixons. We need to have 1,000 of them out there. But they have got to have our support. They've got to have manpower. They've got to have publicity. They've got to have that, because Simone Sanders doesn't have any black support. She's got MSNBC and Coon Society behind her, and that's it. Same thing with James Clyburn. The rest of us out here, if we really do represent black society, if we really do represent the people and the people's interests, then we've got to be the biggest pushers of it. We got to throw the most elbows. Being organized means being organized to move. We have to be the biggest pushers of our agenda. We can't wait for anyone else. So what I'm going to advise you all to do here is I strongly encourage you. I kind of have a thing about endorsing candidates, but I strongly encourage you to get in touch with the candidate and find out what you can do to help. Stop asking questions about what they got and what they don't have. Stop asking questions about where it is. All of a sudden, Negroes who have never won an election or whatever, all of a sudden, you've heard this before, all of a sudden they want to become political scholars. I would like to see the demographics as a whole here in the district and be able to go over the campaign finance records as we are assembling them. Okay, Negro, what do you do for a living, Negro? Oh, well, my name is Patrick Jenkins. Okay, and what did you bring us, Patrick? Well, I was voted the leader of my 4-H club back when I was in middle school, and I am here to look over your books. As opposed to, do you think that's a substitute for actually doing something? Do you think that gets you off the hook? Do you really think that we're going to sit here and accept that as a substitute for actually doing something? See, talking is easy. Doing something is hard as hell. Doing something is hard as hell. For those of you who are interested in doing something, I want you to get to work on this campaign and everything beyond. We have a lot of work cut out for us, but our numbers are growing. But we have a long way to go. This is one step among many. Make it count. Make it count. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Over 139,000 subscribers and rising. We are not a little thing. So click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. By the way, YouTube has let me know that about a third of you or so are actually turned on all your notifications. So please be aware you need to have your YouTube notifications on and all notifications on for that. Otherwise, you might miss it. So be aware of that if you've been missing the program. And if you haven't been to our website, BlackChannelFilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD, on streaming, on Amazon. Go to BlackChannelFilms.com. That is BlackChannelFilms.com. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.